Hello everyone, welcome back. If you have not been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. I really do. Today's book is called The Nurse and it's by Valerie Keogh. Let's get that blurb up, shall we? So, do no harm. Bullied, overlooked and underappreciated, Alyssa McCall learns at an early age to do very bad things. As a nurse, she is respected and valued for the first time in her life, but Lissa hates her job and the selfish, rude and inconsiderate people she has to deal with. But being underestimated in this job had its advantages. Lissa can get close to people, find out their secrets, sometimes with deadly results. I was addicted to this book. This was a proper page turner for me. I really enjoyed it. It's very dark. And you are seeing from the point of view of quite a bad person, and so you feel like you're reading it from the baddie's point of view, but she's not the only baddie in this story. So the first bit you're reading is kind of a flashback from Melissa, she's mainly called Lissa now, as she remembers her childhood and significant moments in her life. In particular, the two people that she killed before she became a nurse. So, the first person that she killed was when she was 11 years old, and she killed her school bully. So it's one of those things where even though you know she's a bad person, you see her justification, and you're kind of on her side a little bit because you understand why she did it. Her life was made hell when the new girl started at school, and this person was a queen bee and managed to get everybody to start bullying Lissa. Lissa was always quite clumsy, and so she decided to use it to her advantage. She sets it up in a way that nobody could believe that she did it on purpose, and she manages to murder her bully at the age of 10 years old. I'm not going to give you all the secrets as to how this happened, but then when she's a bit older, when she's like, is she about 15 to 16, it jumps to when you know about her relationship with her mother and her father, and she's an only child, but she definitely has more of a relationship with her father than her mother, even though her father works away a lot. And then suddenly one day they get the message that their father has died of an aneurysm alone in his car, which then just affects the rest of the book properly. When they find out that when he was working away, he actually had another woman in his life, who he had married, but obviously that was the second marriage, so it wasn't real. And you just see how Lissa's thoughts of her father change, and she goes into self-preservation mode, which then leads on to the other death. But it's all about preserving what is left after her dad has died. That one is very clear that he died of an aneurysm. There was no third party involved, but it does lead on to who Lissa killed afterwards, in a way to protect herself and her mother, who basically goes catatonic after the news of the dad passing away. And there are times when I wonder why Lissa puts so much into her mother's care, and throughout the book you are aware that Lissa needs to learn how to distance herself, but she's gotten to this point when it's just like, but my mother did everything for me, even though she no longer speaks and she's not able to care for me. As a 16-year-old, as like a 15 to 16-year-old, when her mother completely shuts down after hearing the news, and her mother's taken away in an ambulance, and this was just like, I'm 16, I'm just going to have to deal with it. So it's just like, her mother's gone, there's nobody to look after her. She says, oh, I've got a neighbour, they'll help. Ultimately, she's left to herself. And so she grows up very quickly at that point from the death of her father, and then just having the absence of her mother is the best way to describe it, because her mother just shuts down. She stops talking, she stops reacting, they take her into long-term care, and Lissa goes into, this is the only place that will look after my mother. She knows that she has to pay for it, so she's organising all of her father's paperwork, anything that he left, going into the office she was told not to go into, and finding out stuff in there and just like, oh, he bought his mistress a house And so she's trying to figure out that self-preservation. She's trying to figure out, how do I use this to my advantage? How can I get money? And after her first kill, basically, she went into the idea of she wanted to become a nurse. And she does. She goes into nursing, she trains, she works in a hospital, and you realise she's not the best nurse. She's nice to the nice people, but she's horrible to the horrible people. Like, she does things that you shouldn't be able to get away with. And so you see her, and she always remembers the eyes of her victims, specifically the first one, the one that she did when she was 10. She always remembers her bully's eyes as she was dying. And so when, as nursing, she goes on a training day, she sees someone, she's just like, I recognise these eyes. It gets to the point where it's just like, oh, is she related to somebody? You go through the book trying to figure out who this person is. But this almost creates kind of a friendship. But it's not like a real friendship, but it's more kind of like a keep your enemies closer kind of thing. And so, yeah, I had no idea where this book was going. It took me on such a ride of just not knowing where it was going to go. It was fascinating. It is about a woman with severe mental health issues in both Lissa and her mother. And it talks about grief, and obviously there's the bullying aspect as well. So there is a lot to unpack and trigger warnings for people there. I just say, when it comes to stuff like this, just do your own research, be aware of your own limitations and what you can handle. As somebody who's a murder mystery fan, I love a book that kind of messes with the perspective a little bit. When you're looking at a character and you're just like, this is a grey person, this isn't a black or white person, this is somebody in the grey area where they've done bad things, but at the same time they think they're doing it for the right reasons. And you know that they're a bad person, but at the same time you feel like she's almost justified in her actions a little bit. And you're aware that she doesn't plan on doing it again, but if the circumstances were right, it might happen again. Oh, it's just so much to unpack. I'm not going to spoil it, because this is just one. It was a bit of a twisty-turny one, this one, especially when it came to the friend that she made on the training day, where she's like, I know those eyes, I know this person from somewhere, and you're trying to work out, like, is it a relative of somebody that she's killed, or, you know, is it a connection somewhere else? And so there was me putting in all these questions, and one of them was a theory for a moment in the book until it all got twisted and turned on its head again, and it was just like, how did I not see this coming? And it makes you want to reread it and see if you can get the hints of that. Yeah. Oh. This was a proper page turner for me, and this was one that I found just for 99p on Amazon. I think I just feel like Amazon knows me so well at this point, like it knows what to advertise to me based on my reading. Just good algorithm, you've targeted me well there. But yeah, I just thought it was a really, really good book that was real page turner, really good for the mystery, the murder mystery, and seeing it from the point of view of somebody who is in a morally grey area. And that's an interesting thing to say about somebody who is a murderer, and you know that from the first chapter. The very first line of the book is, I was 10 when I made the decision to kill Gemma. It's true, a first line hooks you, and that first line hooked me. Oh, it was, yeah. Do No Harm, The Nurse by Valerie Keogh. Go read it. Go read it. This was such a good book, and I could not put it down. Thank you so much for watching. If you can get through me just being passionate about a book like that. Yeah, so thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. You can see me on my Wednesdays of talking about regular books. You've got my series Sunday for when I am talking about series of books, the occasional singing songs across the way, and other videos mingled in. I'm a bit of everything. I feel like I accidentally fell into BookTube, because when you look at my earlier videos, I talked about books a little bit, but it wasn't mainly books. I've definitely fallen in. But yeah, so thanks. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you next time. And yeah, stay safe, everybody. Mwah.